Hi and welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Vince. Thanks for stopping by. You're very welcome. Today I'm going to cover my stats or my results for my 15-month point, specifically the results for May, June and July of 2020. So without further ado, let's jump into the spreadsheet and look at my objective stats. So here we are inside the spreadsheet. Let's get straight on with it. So weight. My weight in April was 91.6 kilos, and when I tested in July, it was 90.9, and that's down 1.3 since the last check and 1.1 since the start. Now, I have to admit that I thought that this weight, my weight would have gone up because during lockdown, closing of the gyms, more time spent at home, more time wanting to just phone out for food and not eating as healthily as I normally do, I thought my weight was going to go up over the last quarter, but it's strange to have seen it gone down by 1.3 kilograms. That's quite a lot. BMI, I'll show you my BMI score in a second, but the more I research BMI, because I'm going to do a video on BMI and how useless I think it is, the more I realize that it is very much out of date, and there are far more accurate ways and better ways to now check your health with regard to body weight, etc. So my BMI score was 29.7, now 29.5. So it's down 0.2, but technically I'm still overweight as far as BMI is concerned. Percentage body fat, so it was 26.5. This time it's 25.4, so that's down 1.1 since the last check. And again, that's something that I thought would go up considering the change in my lifestyle during lockdown with regard to gyms being closed and me not eating as healthily as I should. And when I say eating, I also mean drinking. Most of my weekends were long weekends, 3 or 4 days, which meant I spent more than one night drinking alcohol. Muscle mass was 33.5, now 34.1. That is to be expected because I haven't been in the gym doing any resistance training for 3 months. I've just started again, so hopefully it'll be going up again after the next quarter. Basal metabolic rate was 1856, now 1845, so that's down 11 points since April. My waist was 36.5, is now 36.5. And again, I can't work it out. I haven't been training as hard as I normally do, haven't been lifting weights. I've been bike riding and doing the odd Tabata session, but again, it's getting hot here now, so it's difficult to do that outside. I really thought my waist size would have increased over the last 3 months, but it has not. Visceral fat, again, looking at my diet and my exercise regime over the last 3 months, I thought this would stay the same or go up, and it's gone down. Again, it doesn't make sense. So the anomalies that I think there are with regard to weight, my muscle mass, my waist size and my visceral fat level all going in what I think is the wrong direction, considering I haven't trained like I normally do and I haven't eaten as healthily as I should. I'd be interested to see if any of you have got any ideas of why this may be happening, what kind of phenomena this might be. So sleep, and I'm going to do a separate video on sleep because I really have improved my sleep stats over the last few months. So you can see here that my average in May for total sleep was 6 hours 51 and deep was 1 hour 32. My average in June was 7 hours 29 and the deep was 1 hour 49. And in July, the average sleep was 7:21 and the deep was 2 hours and 9 minutes. So for the whole quarter, my average sleep was 7 hours and 13 minutes a night. And deep sleep was 1 hour 50 a night, which comes out about 25.5% of my sleep is deep. So that's going up from last month quite a lot, which is very good. I did have 2 naps in the afternoon, and normally since I've started this regime of NMN and resveratrol, I haven't needed a nap in the afternoon. I haven't had that dip in energy, but I did for 2 afternoons, and I'll explain the reasons why I think that happened in the next part when I talk about my more subjective stats. So my metabolic age, again, the more research I've done, the more I've realized that trying to work out your metabolic age using a biometric scale, there are so many variants to the formulas that they use. It's not really an accurate way of doing it. So I finally did find a company that does DNA methylation tests to check out what your age is. I've had that done, and as of April the 22nd, 2020, my chronological age was 56 on that day, and my metabolic age was 54. So that's gone down, or that is down 2 years. Now, if this test was available to me, and it wasn't because they weren't in the zeitgeist, and also the majority of the companies that offer this still only offer it in the United States. It took me a long time to find a company outside of the United States that would do a global test, if you like. So I'm unsure what my metabolic age was on my 55th birthday. It may have been 55, may have been 60, I don't know. I won't get a real gauge of this until I do my next DNA methylation test, which I'm not sure if I should do it in 6 months. I'm not sure if that will yield any results, or if I should leave it until the year. I'd be interested to see in the comments below what you think. Should I do it after 6 months, or should I leave it until my next birthday to do my next DNA methylation test? What this has shown me, I'll just show you actually that's the result. So I used a company called epiage.com, and here they tell me my chronological age is 56 and my epigenetic age is 54. But what I would say is, if you're following my experiment and you're either just started your own or you're about to, this is one of the things I would definitely invest in. This seems to be the most accurate way to see if taking NMN, resveratrol, metformin or berberine, and TMG to stop methylation is actually working, in that it's slowing down your metabolic age, or in fact it might even reverse it. So invest in one of these tests before you embark on your NMN experiment. And the next thing I've started to check is my resting heart rate. I watched a guy called Richard on Healthy Hong Kong, and he mentioned this, or he did a video on some of the ways you can test your age and your fitness levels and your overall fitness, and resting heart rate was one of them. So I checked my resting heart rate on the 1st, the 10th, the 20th and the 30th of each month, and it came out at, in May, an average of 60.2, in June 59.7, and in July 59.5, and as an overall average that's 59.8. And if you look at this chart, whether or not I put my age in as 56, as in my chronological age, or my metabolic age as 54, I still come out on the excellent line. So that's good news. To get to athlete, which I don't think I will ever get, you need to get down to, in my case, a resting heart rate of 51 to 56. I'm not sure how easy it is to get your resting heart rate down. Time will tell. So that's it for the objective stats. Let's move on now to a quick review of this, and then we'll move on to the more subjective stats. So for the objective stats, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extraordinary, although I really did think that I was going to put on weight. I thought my BMI score would go up, my waistline would go up, my visceral fat level would go up because of the same amount of food I was eating, but the less exercise and the more alcohol, more wine and beer I was drinking. For some reason it seems to have had the opposite effect, which is very strange, and I'd be interested to see if anyone would like to share an opinion on why that might be. I made a few notes. One of them in particular was, I remember David Sinclair saying that after taking resveratrol for between 8 and 10 years and NMN for about 2 years, he had his DNA methylation checked, and his biological age was 10 years younger than his chronological age, which is very good, but he didn't have the test taken at the beginning when he started to take resveratrol and NMN. So we're unsure as to what his actual biological age was when he started it. It will be interesting to see what David Sinclair's biological age is at his 15-year point. So 15 years after he started taking resveratrol. I hope that he does have that test taken and he does post his results. That'd be very interesting. And as I've always said, I'm not looking for massive gains. I'm just looking for staying the same, or if I'm increasing, heading towards old age, it's at a slower pace than everybody else. So that's it for the objective stats. Let's move on and look at my more subjective stats. So let's now take a look at the more subjective stats for the last 3 months. And the first thing we're going to look at is the supplement regime. I think you're all fairly familiar with that. If it's your first time here, this is learning what I take at the moment. So it's 1 gram of nicotinamide mononucleotide, 1 gram of trimethylglycine or TMG to help prevent methylation, 1 gram of trans-resveratrol, 1 gram of berberine. I take 5,000 international units of vitamin B3, and I take 90 micrograms of vitamin K2 with that vitamin D3. So let's look at my diet and fasting regime, because I often get questions on this or people recommending that I start fasting. So this is for them. So fasting, weekdays, I normally eat my dinner and I've finished by 7:30, 7:45 in the evening, and I don't eat again until noon the next day. So I'm on a 16/8 fasting regime. On the weekend, it's usually 8 p.m. in the evening, and then we all have breakfast together on the weekend. So I'm usually eating by about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So not such a long fast for the 2 days over the weekend. So my diets remain fairly regular. So for lunch, slightly changed in that before I used to eat high-fat bombs. Now I've changed that to yogurt because I take my NMN and resveratrol with my yogurt at noon as opposed to in the morning. If I have a snack in the afternoon, it's usually nuts and some kind of berry shake, and sometimes put MCT oil in with that shake. And then for dinner, it's meat, whether it's steak or burgers or chicken or fish, and some kind of cruciferous vegetable such as Brussels sprouts or cauliflower. So the next thing is overall feeling. Now, one of the people that comments on the videos, who I think he said was in his 70s, wanted to know what my overall feeling and my energy levels were like since I've been taking NMN, and also whether or not they were increasing, remaining the same, or getting less. And these are the levels that he recommended in his message to me. And at the moment, I believe my energy level is high and remaining steady. That said, I'd rather it was improving constantly, and we might talk about that later in that next month, or from the 1st of August, I will start to take 1.5 grams of NMN a day. So that's it for my energy levels. What I did notice, however, was that since I started taking trans-resveratrol, which I got from Do Not Age, before that I'd used a company called Bronson, and I'm pretty sure the the resveratrol I got from them, it was a company that sold on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it was Cis, because when I used to break open the capsules to mix it into my yogurt, it was a brown color. So I'm pretty sure I wasn't getting the full benefit of resveratrol for the first 3 or 4 months I was taking it. Now I'm definitely taking trans-resveratrol because there's a certificate of analysis proving its purity. I have noticed my energy levels are much improved, especially since we've started going back to the gym. I've started exercising. I find myself being far more energetic in the gym.
So the next thing is overall feeling and the need to nap. So I mentioned previously about how for 2 days I napped in the afternoon because I felt exhausted. Now, since my last update, in that period we've gone, because we're in the Middle East, we've gone through Ramadan. Because it's impolite to eat at work in front of people who are fasting, I left eating until I got home at maybe 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon. I then found that after I'd eaten that, by 4 or 5 in the afternoon, if I was sitting down watching TV, I would start to fall asleep, and I did it 2 days in a row. And the only thing that I had changed was that instead of taking my NMN and resveratrol at noon, I was taking it at 2:30 or 3. So it's obvious that whatever I was taking possibly wasn't having chance to kick in before I started to feel tired in the afternoon. Ramadan is now finished. We're back to normal working hours. I'm taking my NMN and resveratrol at midday, and I'm not falling asleep. And even after I realized what was happening in those 2 days, I started to take my NMN and resveratrol before I went to work. I didn't nap. So it's interesting. I'd be interested to see what people think. Let me know in the comments below if you think that maybe NMN and resveratrol take 2 or 3 hours to get into your system, and it wasn't in my system when I was home, and that's why I think I fell asleep for those two days on the row, the 2 days that I took my supplements later than I normally did. Motivation, like my energy levels, my motivations remained high and steady. Most of the plans, I'd say 99% of the plans that I make to do something, I've always got the energy to do it. I've not said I'm going to go and do X, Y, and Z, and then an hour before going to say I'm too tired, I can't be bothered. I'm still motivated most of the time to be able to go and do it. So that's a positive. Eating and drinking, no real change to my eating and drinking habits, other than what I mentioned during Ramadan, but also during the lockdown, where I was eating possibly more of the wrong food and drinking more alcohol than I normally do. That may have had some effect, but looking at my objective stats, it doesn't seem to have affected any of the major markers I thought it would in a negative way. See, they all seem to have gone in the other direction, which is not an excuse for me to carry on eating badly and drinking more alcohol than I normally do. Gym performance, only really relevant for the last, I'd say we've been back in the gym maybe 3 weeks, 4 at the most. That said, no joint pain. The elbow issue I had is completely gone. Muscle flexibility, no change. I'm still feeling, obviously there was the initial week where I was lifting weights I hadn't lifted for 2 or 3 months, and there was that pain that you normally get when you're rebuilding muscle, but that went away quite quickly, and now there's no pain. I'm still as flexible as I was before. I'm still building up to what I was doing pre-lockdown. I'll probably have a better idea of my gym performance, fitness levels, strength, etc. at the end of the next 3 months. Fingers crossed that there's no second spikes and they don't lock down again here in the Middle East. Injuries, again, not too easy to injure myself. I've only been bike riding and doing the odd exercise in the house. And for those that say that even though the gym is closed, you can exercise at home, I'm possibly thinking those people are people that don't exercise at all or don't exercise at home, because there's quite a few fitness channels I follow on YouTube, and quite a few of those people have said they find it difficult to exercise in the house and to maintain the same exercise regime. They much prefer to go to the gym and train in the gym with all the right equipment. And sickness, again, over the last 3 months, no noticeable illness or sicknesses whatsoever. So again, that is a good thing. So that's it for my more subjective stats.
So I hope that was useful or interesting, or both. If you watch the channel for a while, you'll know that this experiment that I'm putting myself under is not a short-term fix. It's something that I think is going to take years and years to reap the benefits. It reminds me of a David Sinclair video where he was interviewed by Rich Roll, and he said that he's now been taking resveratrol for 10 years, and he's often surprised when he comes across people who've been taking it for a few weeks and say that they don't seem to have found any changes?
One of the people say, "Oh, I'm not noticing anything after maybe 2 weeks on the supplement."
Right.
Of course, you're not going to see that. I've been doing it for some of them for 10 years, but what I've noticed most recently with my current lifestyle, all of these things combined, the biggest things that has changed for me is that I don't get sick anymore. That's amazing. I used to be the kind of guy that would go from one cold to another. I haven't had a sniffle in years. I can't remember the last time I had a cold. And I'm on planes, people are sneezing on me. I'm shaking hands with people pretty much all the time. So my immune system must be on hyper alert. And why is that good? If you ask a centenarian, what about your younger years in your 50s, 60s? They'll say, I never got sick, never got a cold. My father's like that. He doesn't get colds even.
Yeah.
So as you know, at the moment, I'm looking for slow or no change at all. You'll be interested to know that as of the 1st of August, I'm upping my dose of NMN to 1.5 grams a day, my Trans-resveratrol to 1.5 grams a day, and my TMG to 2 grams a day. If you listen to Rhonda Patrick and look at her formula, as someone who weighs 92 kilos, which is my usual weight, I should be on about 2.2 grams of NMN a day to mirror the effects of those that were seen in mice.
So there's been all these studies over the past, I don't know, I'd say like 6 years probably now, 5 or 6 years, where various scientists have been feeding mice, this nicotinamide riboside or nicotinamide mononucleotide. And they're finding that, for example, if you feed them nicotinamide mononucleotide, it delays aging in their liver, in their bones, in their eyes, their muscle. So it's basically like their tissues are aging better. They have enhanced endurance. They have better mitochondrial function. And these are doses like human equivalent dose to like 24 milligrams per kilogram body weight per day, which could be a lot if you weigh a lot.
So I'm not sure if David Sinclair uses this formula, because with 1 gram a day, that would make him around 42 kilos in weight. Now he does look quite slight, but I'm not sure he's actually that light. If anyone knows what David Sinclair's weight is, I'd be interested to know, so please leave that in the comments below. So I hope you found this update interesting. That's it for today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.